Welcome to Coaching for Creatives with Kirsten. My name is Kirsten Call. I'm a therapist-trained life coach and a children's book author. Together, we'll get the drama out of our lives and onto the page. Let's get started. You are listening to episode 42, 5 books all creatives should read. I'm an avid reader. And by avid, I mean I probably read a novel every other day. It's a problem. And it's also one of my greatest joys. There's something about curling up with a good book that cures all ailments for me. Books are bibliotherapeutic. Books are friends. Books increase empathy. Books change lives. This is why we read. This is why we write. So, here's some transformative books. Books that made me think differently, reconsider. Books that changed my perspective. Books that helped me grow as a creative and grow as a person. Number 1, The Element, How Finding Your Passion Changes Everything by Ken Robinson. This book blew my mind. I've looked at talents and proclivities in an entirely different way ever since I read it years ago. According to this book, everyone has something they are naturally good at and passionate about that puts them in the zone. When people arrive at the element, they feel most themselves and most inspired and achieve at their highest levels. The Element draws on the stories of people like Paul McCartney, also Matt Groening, creator of The Simpsons, Meg Ryan, and so many others, including business leaders and athletes. It explores the diversity of intelligence and power of imagination and creativity and the importance of commitment to our own capabilities. Author Ken Robinson explores the conditions that enable us to find ourselves in the element and those that hinder us. He shows that anyone of any age or occupation can find their element, and when we have found our path, we can help others find their paths. Such a good book. Okay, number 2, On Writing by Stephen King. I have actually never read any of Stephen King's novels, except for this one. My vivid imagination is a little overactive, so I have to avoid horror books or movies or news for that matter. So, On Writing was my very first and only exposure to Stephen King's writing, and it's exquisite. Anyone who loves a well-told story will enjoy this book, whether you're a writer or not. The book is engaging and compelling, and Stephen King's advice is interwoven with vivid childhood memories. Also, his struggling early career and his near-fatal accident, and he talks about how writing and living accelerated his recovery. This book is powerful and inspiring and definitely well worth the read. Number 3, The Artist's Way, A Spiritual Path to Higher Creativity by Julia Cameron. I read this book with a group of other creators, and it ended up being an incredible experience. The book includes weekly exercises that help you connect to your inner artist. There's something about concrete assignments that can really open up the world of your creativity. Also, working with a group was super fun. I found this book inspiring and helpful as I navigated my own creative journey. Number 4, The War of Art. Break Through the Blocks and Win Your Inner Creative Battles by Steven Pressfield. First of all, I love the clever title. A clever title will always get me to pick up a book. My father-in-law sent me this book after a discussion we had about my desire to be creative again. Somehow having 5 kids, 8 years old and younger, had stunted my creative juices. This book was definitely one of the impetuses for getting me to write again. In fact, I started writing picture books when my 5th child was 6 months old. He is now 13. So I've been on this children's book writing adventure for quite a while now. Steven Pressfield uses the analogy of war to describe the battle of creating art. And after many years of battle, I find it to be an apt, if rather grim, analogy. I mostly love his urging to show up every day, not allowing the voices of resistance in our heads to keep us from creating our best work. Now that I'm using thought work in my life, I realize those voices of resistance are thoughts making up negative stories in our heads. So I love the idea of replacing that resistance and building a neural pathway of dauntlessness, especially in the face of war, if we're going to continue the analogy. So encouraging thoughts that make us feel dauntless, like I know exactly how to write this book, or I can learn how to write this book. This book is kind of a tough love approach for ourselves. It inspires us to seize our potential and to really just be empowered around our creative energy. Okay, so I saved one of my very favorites for last, number 5, Writing Down the Bones, Freeing the Writer Within by Natalie Goldberg. This is just one of my very favorite books on writing ever. The first time I read it, I was a teenager, and it resonated with me so deeply that it may actually be one of the reasons I'm a writer and creator today. It's inspiring, engaging, and describes writing as therapeutic. And I totally agree that writing is therapeutic. Journal writing is something I regularly assign my therapy clients. Natalie Goldberg also outlines rules for becoming a great writer. Basically, read a lot, listen well and deeply, and write a lot. And don't think too much, right? So honestly, if we all read a lot and listened well and deeply, we'd not only be better writers, but we'd also be better people. I have read and reread this book when I needed motivation, inspiration, or just a really good read. I've always believed in the magical power of books. My life experience and education have confirmed what I've always known. There is therapeutic value in reading. And books not only help us feel better, but they can be the catalyst for enormous changes. I challenge you to choose one of the 5 books I just described and delve into it with an open mind and heart, ready to learn how to become your best creative self. I look forward to hearing about what you learn about yourself, what you learn about your art, and what you learn about what only you can create. Until next time, keep smiling. If you like what you've heard, check out my Get Yourself Unstuck program. Go to KirstenCall.com. That's KirstineCall.com and schedule a free consultation today. Coaching for Creatives is produced by Kirsten Call. Music and audio engineering by James Call.